You've always heard, don't sweat the small stuff, but when it comes to your money, you have to sweat the small stuff. Is it possible to stay out of debt? It is possible to live virtually debt-free and get rid of unnecessary debt if you fall into the pit of a debt trap. According to Brian Forbes in an article on Transamerica, only 68% of Americans spend less money than they earn. Today, I want to give you steps to help you successfully plan for your financial future and keep you out of debt. They are to identify how you feel about money and to know some of the debt traps. Examine your spending habits and plan a budget that you can stick to. And how to pull yourself out of a debt trap if you fall into that pit. What does money mean to you? If you want to get the most out of every penny, then you must first understand and define your financial philosophy. After all, action follows attitude, not the reverse. Having money and bills may catch you by surprise, especially if you're used to your parents providing everything. So gaining clarity on what money means to you is essential. The Wall Street Journal reports that 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, so it's very important to take a good look at how you view money and not fall in this percentage. Now here's what I was talking about on this next slide is the results of your surveys and questionnaires. I had put up there for you. 8 of y'all worry about money and saving for your goals. 4 try not to think about money. 3 out of 8 frequently buy snacks and drinks at service stations. And then the 3 out of 8 said they cannot receive handouts. And y'all were kind of split regarding eating out at the restaurants versus in the home. You must know what some of the debt traps are. A cash advance is an example. Let's say you write a hot check for $225. They will give you $200 cash on the spot for a mere $25 service charge, which equates to over 650% interest in a year. Rent to own is another one of these worst examples. People rent items they can't possibly afford to buy because they look only at how much it costs them a week and think I can do that. Let's think about this. You go to the rent to own, you get the average washer and dryer. It's going to cost you around $20 a week for about 90 weeks. Now, you could probably go to a store and get it for maybe $500, $750. Now that rent to own washer and dryer at that rental store, if you bought it outright, would have been $948. But because you financed it weekly, you just paid $1,800 for it, 60% interest. Look at how much money you could have saved. Avoid the credit card trap. According to a study by Sally Mae conducted in the spring of 2009 regarding college students and credit cards, some interesting facts were discovered. 50% of students have 4 or more cards. 39% of students already have a card before they even go to college. 39 and 70% have them for clothing. 69% use them for cosmetics. 40% of students said they charged items knowing they didn't even have money to pay the bill. The main thing to see in all these examples is a need for patience. Instead of financing or charging things that can wait, save the money until you can purchase it so it'll keep you from debt. Right now, all of y'all are at advantage because most of you should not have any debt. You should have a clean slate. Now, once you enter in the workforce or school, you'll want to have a budget. It is important to know your gross income, but for now, plan on figuring by your net income. You'll need to write down all your monthly expenses. Some of these are going to vary, like your utilities and groceries. So you're going to need to average that when you calculate. Take your heat. It's maybe more, if it's gas, it's going to be more in the winter and summer. You're going to need to average that out to figure it out when you're making your budget. And don't forget to include your hidden expenses, such as your insurance, rental deposits, haircut, clothes, registration on your vehicle. After completing this, you take those expenses, take your income, subtract the figures, and get your cash flow remaining. That gives you an idea if you're living within your means. You may have to make cuts because you should have money to place aside for an emergency. There's always going to be a flat tire, medicine when you get sick. There's always going to be something that happens in life you're going to need money for. Even after you make that budget, you need to track your cash spent. That's going to take time, writing down expenditures just to see where your money's going. Once you see where your money goes, this will help unnecessary spending and anticipate other spending. To pull yourself out of debt, there are several steps you must take. If you become one of those students who falls in that pit, such as a credit card, cut the card up. You cannot come out of debt while you're still incurring debt. In order to get out of debt, you've got to know how much you owe. This is one of the most important steps to living debt-free. You got to make sure your list is complete. Creditor's name, total balances owed, monthly payment amount, interest rate, payment in arrears. You have to add that up and develop a plan to repay it. You take that list of billing creditors and you prioritize them by what's due first, your interest rates, and you have to pay the minimum each month. Now, when you pay one bill off, you can start placing that extra money towards another one by the way you prioritized it. And I kind of showed an example of this. You pay a bill off, your first priority is going to be your credit card because you're only paying $50 a month. Look at your interest rate. So you're paying over $2,216 in interest. Now, you can kind of go either way on the other two. Your card, you've got the higher interest, but your personal loan, you only owe $1,100. So if you knock off that credit card and you're paying an extra $50 a month, that's one bill you can knock off real quick by applying that $150 a month. And then you just have one debt. Starting today, whether you're already working part-time until graduation, receiving money for your birthday, holidays, however you're getting, keep a list of where your money's going. Start a budget, start you a plan. I'm going to give you an example budget for you to have that'll be coming soon in your life. Even if you do not owe anything, save, save, save. Remember your three main steps to plan for your future. Remember how to feel about money, know the debt traps, examine your spending, plan your budget, and stick to it. Know how to pull yourself out of debt if you fall in that pit. And now that you have a clear picture of your income, resources, expenses, and goals, you can determine precisely what you want your finances to look like. You are armed with the key information necessary to make a positive and lasting change.